We will be focusing on a controversial issue surrounding the novel Huck Finn by Mark Twain. The question we have proposed for today is the positively written criminal activities portrayed in Huck Finn appropriate for the audiences the book is intended for? Specifically, do Tom and Jim's adventures, such as the criminal gang, Huck helping the Dolphin and Duke commit their crimes without much morality, and Tom and Huck's heist to rescue Jim, show criminal endeavors as being a fun, fruitful, and ultimately consequence-lacking venture, which can encourage the high school students that are already reading this controversial novel to follow in their path. Today we have two guests on our show. SARA, a Bloomfield Hills High School student, who believes that the controversial elements of this novel are a reason for the book to be removed from the curriculum, and MILAN, a classmate of Sarah's, who believes that teaching Huck Finn to schools is more beneficial than removing it. We also have ZCMS correspondent Zachary Rader present on this issue, with opinions of other readers of the novel who have something to weigh in on the issue. What is your opinion on this issue, Sarah?
I believe that Huck Finn should not be read in schools because the crimes that Huck and the other characters commit. The book influences teens and kids to commit crimes and shows that they are okay because of the positive portrayal of crime throughout the novel.
Why do you believe that it is important that the book be kept in the school curriculum?
Huckleberry Finn should be read in schools because it very accurately depicts the social norms of the early 1800s and is a valuable method of teaching these norms to children. It also provides a safe classroom setting for the learning of these materials.
Basically, what the argument boils down to is the question of should books portraying violence and crimes be allowed as part of the standard reading criteria in high schools across the country. Already across the country, young adults are committing crimes that mirror the exploits that occurred in Huck Finn. What is your take on this, Sarah?
That in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, Huck traveled along the river with Jim, a runaway slave. To survive, they would often have to steal things from houses. This action is now being followed by other high school students. According to an article from WLKY Louisville, shortly after reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, two high school boys were caught breaking into houses and stealing people's possessions after they had been stranded on the other side of the Ohio River, which they got across by stealing the boat. This is an example of how we can see the crime in the novel influencing crime in the real world.
This is just an isolated scenario, whereas if there had been proper explanation of the wrongdoings of Huck and Jim by parents or teachers, and the negative consequences had been fully explained, it could have been prevented. And while Huck Finn does include various crimes, it influences children no more than any other novel might, or even the violent video games that many high school students play. The Hunger Games series makes up just a few of these violent novels that have much more violence and are widely popular with teenagers in high school. This book is also catered to both boys and girls, so it influences both genders just as much. There are also movie versions of the first two books in the series that further portray violence, even more graphically, and both books and movies reached incredibly large audiences, specifically the younger audiences.
I understand that it is blatantly clear that The Hunger Games is more violent than Huck Finn, but The Hunger Games takes place in a fictional version of our future world, whereas Huck Finn is a realistic fiction novel and portrays many crimes that are much more viable for students than the killing in The Hunger Games. This is additionally supplemented by the fact that books such as The Hunger Games are not assigned as school reading, whereas Huck Finn is required by most, if not all, schools. Books such as The Hunger Games are for pleasure reading for teenagers and an activity that should be monitored by parents.
This is all true, but I would like to